Saw a bunch of wild turkeys on my my farm yesterday. A lot of them. I counted at least 10 of them. Giant, big, ugly birds, right? The word MicroContrast, of course, is a faulty one. I've correctly called it image fidelity. There are a lot of people out there, since I look at the photography forums, that under the delusion of their own ignorances think that this doesn't exist. Well, if it didn't exist, which of course it does, then monochromatic cameras would not be a thing. I posted an image about a year and a half ago from a monochromatic, it was an X Pro 1, really old camera. Yeah, it was a monochromatic conversion where the color filter array had been scraped off of the sensor. There is a phase 1 monochrome camera, and there are sample images out there of it. Of course, it probably costs as much as your house does, or at least 2 or 3 of your cars. The images from it are incredible. Anyway, when I posted that monochromatic image, it was just a boring landscape shot. Everybody said the same thing. Oh my God, that's absolutely incredible. Why do you think that image is so incredible? What is it about a monochromatic camera? Because on sensor series, there's some sensors that make the exact same thing without a color filter array. One of them being the IMX461. That's a 102 megapixel sensor that's found in the GFX 100. Why do you think a monochromatic sensor is better? Everything is about gain and time and SNR, signal to noise ratio. It's image fidelity. The reason why that monochromatic image was so amazing, or any true, decent landscape shot, or it could be interior or exterior, is so incredible. Because you can't get there from people. So why don't I just take a color picture of whatever it is and do a black and white conversion? Because you can't get there from here. You cannot get, that's not my opinion, it's a fact. You can't get that sort of image. It can't be done. What do you think it is? The only thing that differentiates out the same sensor between that and its monochromatic twin brother, if you will, in the case of the IMX461, is a lack of a color filter array. Anything that cuts light, just think about this for a second. I'm going to have to say it 2 or 3 times to get it through your heads. Anything that cuts light, take a filter, right? Because a filter, by definition, is something that cuts light. I don't have a filter sitting here on the table, but what's the first thing a filter does? Cuts light. Yeah, but what's the first thing it destroys? First thing a filter destroys is low-gain intertonal detail, usually in the shadows. But it cuts all low-gain. It could be in the highlights. It could just be low-gain highlights. First thing a filter does is it destroys, completely eliminates, obliterates, annihilates low-gain intertonal detail. What would I say if I told you that the new lens from Fuji or Nikon came with a filter, whatever color it was, that you couldn't take off? And I got a filter on this lens here. Well, I wouldn't want that. Well, why wouldn't you want that? Well, it cuts the light. I have to compensate for it. That's right. The first thing a filter does, it cuts low-gain intertonal detail. Destroys it. A filter cuts light. It cuts it down if it's a highlight, but if it's not a highlight, it's low-gain, it obliterates it. Ask any photographer out there, and this is a serious question, just ask them this like it's a trick question. Because to them, they've never thought about this. It could be a famous professional photographer, and I guarantee you they won't have an answer for you. They will not have an answer for you. Here's the question to ask them. It's not a trick question, but to anybody that you ask it to, it will be like a trick question. Why does flash photography look so much better than the exact same shot done without a speed light or a studio strobe? And speed lights or studio strobes are the exact same thing. They're all xenon tube devices. Yeah, the only difference is power and type of control. So what? Ask a professional photographer, a famous photographer, any photographer, why does flash photography look better than the exact same shot? They won't have an answer for you. Well, because it looks better. Well, that's a description. That's not an explanation. Why does flash photography look better? Depending on the type of lighting output device, even though it's all xenon tubes, you get full sensor saturation, unless you overexpose, of course, at roughly between a speed light and a studio strobe, if you throw both into a blender, roughly 1/15,000th of a second, or 1/10,000, 1/50,000th of a second. The reason why flash photography looks so much better is because of sensor saturation. You could take the worst low-gain lens, like some sort of ultra-zoom lens with 26 elements. Yeah? Normal images from it without a flash look okay. They don't look good. Black and white conversions look really bad. They look flat and dead. But you add a flash to it, it will get through that. Kind of like the uranium-tipped DU, they call it, depleted uranium-tipped tank munitions that are used to penetrate. Flash photography is like a depleted uranium tank penetrator. But yeah, that is what they use at the tip of tank munitions, is DU, depleted uranium, because it's so incredibly dense. And when you shoot it at ultra-high velocity, it goes through anything. That's what flash does. It's all about sensor saturation. So all these extremely unintelligent people out there that say, MicroContrast is an idea, I don't believe in it. They think it's like you're talking about a religion or ghosts or something. I don't believe in it. The same sort of people that ignorantly say that, I believe in God. Well, I don't care what anybody believes in. I only care about what's logical and factual and wise. I don't believe in this. The same people say, I don't believe in MicroContrast. I don't care what they believe in. It's real. And if it wasn't real, then people would not throw $40,000 plus to a monochromatic phase 1. Why would you do that? Well, that's the same stuff. I could just take a color picture and do a black and white conversion. It's not the same thing at all. You can't get there from here. That's why I can fix it in post-production in Photoshop. I can make it look just as good as that monochrome. No, you can't. You can manipulate the image a million ways, but you can't add what was never captured to begin with in the raw file. It can't be done by Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop. It can't be done. You can drag those sliders all you want, but you can't manifest intertonal detail that was never there to begin with. You can make the image look nicer and sharper, change the accutance and the clarity, raise the shadows, drop the highlight. We could do all the same stuff I do that you do, but you can't manifest what was never captured to begin with. If you're on a photography forum, and I know you probably are, and you hear unintelligent people say stuff, yeah, I know this is a tangerine. If you hear unintelligent people tell you that, and they all use the word microcontrast, which is a horrible, horrible word, that it doesn't exist, inform them why it doesn't exist. It's like, I don't care what you believe in. That's fine. Don't care, but you're wrong. Because boom, 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 boom. Everything is sensor saturation. When you remove, or in this case you don't add the color filter array at all, in the sensor fabrication process, then it's taking the photo sites of your camera sensor from this to this. Per unit of time, the gain is such that the SNR is really good, signal to noise ratio. The reason why a monochromatic, and people have asked me, is because Fujifilm next year is coming out with a monochromatic camera. People say, why would you want a monochromatic camera? It seems like a gimmick. It's like, oh, you don't know what a monochromatic camera is. Well, I could do the same thing, do a black and white conversion. It's like, no, you can't. You can't get there from here. If you could, I would never be praising and drooling over, desirous of a monochromatic camera. I wouldn't be, because I would have the wherewithal and the intellect, which I definitely have, to say, well, just do a black and white conversion. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Do you understand? Was that clear enough? Was it concise enough? Someone will still post in a comment, I don't believe you. I still don't believe you. I don't care what you believe. The facts are undeniable. Everything in photography is gain in time in SNR, and a color filter ray ruins the SNR, and all filters do one thing: they cut light. But when they cut light, the first thing that they do, actually, before they cut light, is they destroy low gain and mid gain intertonal detail. That's what they do. And when you don't put a CFA over top of the sensor, you get a lot better gain. When you get a lot better gain, do ambient light photography, especially landscape and any kind of ambient, the images pop. Now you still need to use a good lens. If you have a monochromatic camera, but you throw like a 26 element lens on there, oh! But you know what is really magical? People that actually know how a camera works, what they'll do is they'll take a monochromatic camera, stick a high gain, low element count lens on there, and do flash photography. They'll take the best of all three worlds. A monochromatic camera with a low element count, awesome high gain lens, and do flash photography, and the images are unbelievable. They are interstellar. They're galactic. They are Hyperborean. That's the word I'm looking for. Hyperborean. Take a monochromatic camera with an awesome high gain lens and do flash photography. You have created, de facto, other than the composition, the most brilliantly buttery, incredible, unbelievable black and white photography you have ever seen. And this is coming from someone that used to shoot 8x10 large format film. Because, oh man, those images are incredible. I wish you could still buy 4x5 and 8x10 film at a halfway reasonable cost. As it is right now, like a sheet of 4x5 chrome is like, what, $50 a sheet? No, it used to be $1 a sheet back in the early 1990s when I was doing large format photography. Anyway, yes, kiddies, image fidelity, or what the common fool calls microcontrast, is real. Period. It's not my feeling that it is. It is real. Thank you. Goodbye. Wait for it. Fujifilm.